Hi, I'm here with Dustin Orgas. He's the filmmaker behind New Beginning, which is a short, long film. I know it's a bit of an odd thing to say, but it's coming in just under an hour, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 50 minutes, so it's somewhere in between short and feature.
Yeah, it's like in the middle. But anyway, the point is, it's a brilliantly made film. Welcome to Valencia.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Obviously, I've seen the film, but if you could give us a brief synopsis anyway for people that haven't seen it.
It's about a toy store owner whose wife is very sick, and they own a toy store together, and they're about to lose it. So he sets out on a quest to find a healing stone to save his wife's life. Yeah,
you could easily go into a spoiler thing here, and I obviously don't, because obviously I know what happens. It's actually a really well-made film. Something that struck me about this, and this is part of the reason I re-looked at the film, which I've forgotten, is actually there are certain parts of the film that you almost look like a blue filter on it. Is it because it's really got a grey-blue look to it, or to my eye it did.
It does. It does. It has, I would say, fantasy elements.
Yeah.
Because when he sets out on this quest and he gets off the train, he ends up in Helheim, which is like a Norse mythology place, which is like hell, basically, in Norse mythology. So, and it is described as like very dark and cold. So we wanted to show that with the cinematography, that there's the real world on the one side, which is very gray already. Yeah. But then there's the realm that he has to go through, sort of, which is very cold and dark. So this is where there's a bluish kind of look to it.
Yeah, it kind of looks washed out. Now I know you can achieve just about anything in post, but are these kind of sequences still shot with filters? How is this done?
No.
Because you can almost do anything in post, can't you? I know you can.
No, but we filmed it, we recorded very flat, so we were able to do a lot in post with the colors. So that was done in post. So
it's kind of, if you excuse the pun here, it's kind of a fusion of different, I hate using that word, but of different, and what I mean by that is to have I'm trying to avoid any spoilers in this, but it could almost be, from my mind, you could have done it as a non-fantasy, because the linear story is all kind of about tragedy and sort of loss, but the interesting fantasy element was quite interesting to add that.
It is. That was the goal, is to have the film work on different levels. For one, just like a plain story with beginning, middle, and end, and where everyone can understand what happens in the end. But then also add another layer of deeper meaning, like the Norse mythology, and also just spirituality or esoteric. I don't know what esoteric.
Esoteric, yeah, no, esoteric.
So the idea is for people to watch it, and then be like, okay, I think I got it, but I'd like to watch it again, because I think there's more to it. Sort of like reading an essay that you have to read over and over again to really understand the meaning behind it.
And where does the idea come from? Is it kind of, whenever I hear sort of Nordic fantasy, actually I'm just going off a tangent, I think of things like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, which you probably don't want to hear me say things like that, but it is kind of a little bit of that, but then obviously it's a much more modern day drama, I guess. So I wonder how you arrived at the story.
That's a good question. It just, the story itself is, like you said, pretty straightforward, right? The wife is dying and he sets out on quest to find something. And the Norse mythology, it just kind of popped up in my head, that this was, and I had read about it, and it just sounded very interesting, and so the idea was, because, but then I'm giving it away.
Avoid that, but if you can.
Yeah, so that's difficult to explain otherwise.
Shall we move on, just in case we?
Yeah, I think we should just move on. Yeah.
So I looked at your bio, because you actually you lived in. I know you're German originally, and I think you went to live in New York. I think it was.
Yeah,
because you've got quite. I can hear the American in that. So how long were you there for?
I was in New York for about 4 years.
Wow, that's quite strong for just 4 years there.
Thank you.
I can't be the only person that said that to you.
No, but I have family in New York, so I've visited them a few times before.
Oh, okay, so you're picking it.
But college and university really helped me with my English, and I took a lot of English classes and courses and literature and stuff like that. So I really.
Oh, so it's been pushed at you all the time.
Yeah, so I really got into it and learned a lot.
Okay, I've been to the States loads. I've been to New York, but would you go? Are you planning to go back to?
Maybe sometime in the future, but right now in August we're actually going to move to China. My wife and I. Yeah. So we wanted to try something new, so we're going to go to Shanghai for a year.
Wow.
For now. So that's
And what I mean, it's a stupid question, because I guess your long-term plan is to carry on making films, right?
Yeah, of course.
So have you already planned that you're going to Shanghai and there's something a project you think gestating, you think, well, actually this will work well over there?
Yes. Well, for one, I've already started writing a new screenplay, which is a film I would do in Germany, but it would give me maybe the opportunity to finish that while I'm in China.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I have a project idea for China, which I would try to do in China if I can find people and opportunities. I don't know about that yet, but.
So I'm guessing, because I know loads of people from China for the film festivals, and I always wonder if, in reverse, when I'm sure you've checked this out and you've researched it, but in terms of working visas and living there, is it quite straightforward or is it quite difficult?
Well, we're in the middle of a thing, so we're not really sure yet. It's it goes up and down. It's like, one day it seems okay, and the next day it's like, oh, this is like impossible. But I think it's, even though it takes work and you have stuff to do, it's not that big of a deal, as long as you're like from an English-speaking country, basically, because that's what they want over there, especially because my wife is going to teach English.
Right. Okay.
And that makes it easier because they're really looking for English teachers in China and Asia in general. So they try to help you with making things easier for you. So that's really.
And as usual, whenever I talk to people, I go off piece, and I really want to talk about your film, but you may say something interesting, which you have, and then I'll sort of pick up on it. But anyway, so getting back to the film, like you said, I love the look of it. What was the whole shooting process? Because again, you're weaving this fantasy into it. I mean, just give us a flavour of how that all went. Because I mean, I've looked at the performances, brilliant performances in the film.
Thank you.
And to be honest with you, it's well put together. There's no getting away from it. It's got this quality all about oozing out of it. So, how did that all go? What was there was it pretty straightforward or problematic?
The shooting?
Yeah.
The shooting was pretty tough. I mean, the whole project was interesting, but at the same time tough, because originally I wanted to do it just with a friend, like on a very small scale, like amateur, and then my boss came in and said, hey, I liked the film you've done before, a short film. I had done one year before, and he's like, well, here's 10,000 euro, and all of a sudden it became an actual movie project. And that's
interesting, because you can see that. So, when I said about the quality, and now you said that immediately, I'm thinking, oh yeah, now you can see.
Yeah, so and that was, on one side that was great, obviously, because I could pay people to, and I could get, semi-professional people on board, basically.
Yeah.
At the same time, it went from a small crew to an actual film crew. So everything took longer on set, and we only had 8 days to shoot it, basically.
8 days for 50 minutes. Yeah.
And we had 21 different locations. We were in the mountains for days. And
where was it shot, sorry?
In, it was near the Alps, south of Munich, when you go towards Italy, or in Austria, where the mountains are basically. Although,
of course, the look, of course it is, yeah.
Yeah, and it was always foggy, so we never got a shot of a mountain on those 8 days, and it was tough, because after 3 or 4 days, we realized that the days were too long. It was too much in the cold, so we said, okay, we have to cut it down to 10 hours a day. So that meant the whole planning, a lot of scenes, or some of the scenes we had to cut completely, some we had to shorten to make it work. So in the end, I was really surprised to see that it still came out. My boss watched it and he was like, well, I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Oh, that's really nice.
Which was great to hear, because I thought I don't know how this is going to work.
It's really interesting you should say, because we had a filmmaker here, he won't mind me saying, Wargaming. It's a documentary that he made, and he says it's really, and it's just stuck with me when I interviewed him. He said the thing is, I had a pot of money, Steve, so I could have made with the pot, I had enough, but I knew to make it really well, I needed more money. Because I never asked anyone about the budget; it's none of my business. Yeah. He said, and obviously the difference with his like yours, you can see it on screen, and as it happens, I think his film's just been picked up for distribution, and it is really well. Yeah, and it's really well put together, and it ties in very neatly to what you're saying. Yeah, you could have done the film; I'm sure it would have been great. And I'm not being funny, let's be honest, 10,000 euros is still a lot. It's a lot of money, right? It's still 10,000 euros. In scalability, I know where, this is, it sounds awful, I know it's not huge for filmmaking, but it is.
It is.
It makes a difference, it can make a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference, yeah.
And I think, I can't give anyone advice about filmmaking, but I suppose the advice, if you could, is spend as much as you can. I know that's easier said than done, and you know that better than anyone. But the fact is that it's kind of, you've got to bite the bullet and accept that, haven't you, really? It's
true, unfortunately. Yeah. I think you can achieve a lot with a limited budget. You know, if you have the right people, if you have the right idea and everything.
Yeah.
But there's a limit. You know, you have to have a certain some sort of money to just, because even if it's just, you know, getting to places, setting up, like getting food for everyone, it just what do you call it? It builds up so fast. The cost. It's just.
Oh God! It's like you basically may as well open a tap that's got dollars coming out. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
I know, it's absolutely excruciating. So were you always planning to be a filmmaker? Is that your?
That's the reason I went to New York for. I went to film school I wanted to go to film school to make films.
So even from a young age, you're like, no, I really want to do this.
Not from a young age, like in my teens, I guess. I mean, I've always loved movies, and whenever I went to New York, I took my camera and I made like shots of New York and put it together, you know, like with music underneath it and everything. And
yeah.
And I've always loved writing stories. And I don't remember when exactly I decided like that's what I want to do, but at some point in my teens, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go to New York.
I'll take my hat off, to be honest, mate. I've interviewed. I've been involved with another set of festivals previously, but the long and short is I've interviewed over 750 films, a lot. Mm-hmm. And you know, every one of them, you know, whatever their age, I take my hat off, because truthfully I couldn't do it and I wouldn't do it, because I know it's bloody stressful and painful. And people that aren't, because people only ever see the fluff and the red carpet and all the other crap, but the fact is 99.9% of it is really hard work. Because you touched upon it, long days, and this is typical of filmmaking, you know?
It is, but the thing is, it's like you said, well, it's like an up and down, right? It's like moments where you feel like I can't do this anymore, it's too much, it's too expensive, it's not worth it. And then there's times where you just enjoy it so much that it's like, I just love it. And I do love the whole process. I love the pre-production, I love the planning, the organizing, just imagining how it's going to be. And like
even the editing, you like that? Do you get involved in the editing, or do you have someone else doing it?
Yeah. Well, I edited the film also, which is not something I would recommend. And
no.
Unfortunately, there was no more money, and our editors that we work with at our production company, they're, you know, professionals, so they would ask for quite a bit of money. So I had no choice basically. But for the next film, I would definitely try to look for someone to edit it.
And I know this is a tough thing, again, speaking to lots of people, you know, when you speak to them, they always sort of say, oh God, you know, get an independent editor, because you see it from an independent eye, and they'll cut things you really want to keep, and it's really brutal. But they've all agreed, they've said, you know, it's always been the right thing, because they're looking at it from an independent point of view.
Exactly.
You just got to trust them, haven't you, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
And I get that. And another common, sort of, if it's a mistake is the right word, this is only feedback that I've got, is, you know, if I said to a lot of filmmakers, you know, what's your regret? And one of them would say, it's sound, you know. We didn't think enough about, I'm sure that's not the case in yours, we didn't think enough about sound. We thought what was right and afterwards you can fix things, and they said, but it's just not enough. You need to really think about it.
I agree. That happened after the short film I had done a year before,
right,
which I think was okay from like an amateur perspective. But the one thing that really bothered me was the sound. And I read a lot about it and how important it is and what to do. And so for this one, I went to a sound designer.
You got it right, yeah.
And
because it's crystal clear and it's really nice sound on this.
Yeah. I'm still not happy with it in a way. I still want.
Right.
I mean, he did a great job. You know, I'm not saying that, but just with the equipment that we had and the equipment he had, it's just not the same as you have like a whole sound recording studio, or whatever, where you have like, you know, all these things to. You know, make a proper sound. I think for the budget we had and everything, I think it came out great.
That's brilliant.
And I think sound is very important. I actually think that it's like 70% sound, 30% image, almost.
Well, I think, yeah, wasn't it? I can't remember who said that. George Lucas, I think, said it. You know.
Yeah. And I even read that someone said, I think who's working also at a festival. He said that for the first 20 minutes he doesn't even watch the film. He closes his eyes and just listens to it, and sees if the sound draws him into the world, because if it doesn't, then
he's not interested.
He's not interested. And I kind of get that same feeling when I won't go to the movie theater, and after 10 seconds I'm usually hooked because of the sound and everything, because it's usually like black screen and the music or whatever comes up, and then you're like into the world already, and I think that's a very important part.
No, really brilliant. Well done, mate.
Okay, thank you so much.
Take care. Okay.